I'm going to start it off by telling you a quick story. I was much younger. We're hanging out with a couple roommates, and we were on the beach and we had a little fire and we were talking about the nature of reality. And we were kind of talking about what matters and what doesn't. But this guy I'm talking to, he's like, his saying was nothing is nothing. And he kept saying that in different ways. And to him, the essence of what he was saying was that nothing means anything. It's all random, and that we just do things, but none of it really matters anywhere. It just is what it is. Nothing matters. So that was frustrating for me at the time because to me, everything matters. The exact opposite of what he was saying. And we butted heads for hours and never really got anywhere in that conversation. That's partly why it's so memorable because it went on so long. And uh, his just whole concept of nothing is nothing just I found super frustrating. But there's some light at the end of this tunnel, and it might be darkness. That scientists making one discovery and then later making another discovery, and going back to Descartes and Newton with Newtonian physics, they were proving that we could figure out the motion of things in this world, and this reality could be defined with mathematics. Then years later, we come across quantum physics, in which we find out that actually it seems that all of everything is just a bunch of empty space. And they can't explain why there's all this empty space. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to share with you a documentary movie. I don't know what you call it. I saw it years ago. I was really impressed by it. It's called Mindwalk. And it's like a weirdest movie. It's just three people talking through this whole movie, having this in-depth conversation: a poet, a politician, and a physicist. Anyway, I'll give you the link in the comments with this video so you could check out the whole thing. Someone's got it posted in a multiple parts, and it's well worth watching if you're like me, if you're a thinker. But in a weird way, it kind of backs up this friend of mine who was saying nothing is nothing. So I'm going to play a clip and we'll see how that goes. It's about 3 minutes long. So check this out, folks. Here it comes.
What does that mean, vast regions of empty space? Atoms are tiny.
Yes, they are. This is what's so hard to visualize. See, this far removed from our ordinary sense of scale and proportion that it's extremely hard to get a feeling for the relative size and distance of their particles. Ask yourself, how many atoms are there? This will have to blow up the orange to a size where you can actually see the atom. You have to blow up the orange until it's reached the size of the earth. The atoms inside of it will then be the size of a cherry. Millions of cherries tightly packed into an orange the size of the earth.
Wow, what an image. Here, Sally. Trying to shrink the earth orange back down to the size of an orange. Imagine all those cherries whizzing around inside of it. Okay. I say that the atom is the size of the cherry, and that in that cherry atom there's all this empty space. What about the nucleus? There is a nucleus in there, right? I mean, how big is that? That's what we're going to.
Yes. If we blow up the atom to the size of a football, the nucleus would still be. If we blow up the atom to the size of a sphere that would fit into this room, right? Invisible.
What if you blow it up to the size of this island? To the size of the rock we're standing on?
Okay, we would blow the cherry up to the size of this island. Okay, then the nucleus would be the size of a small pebble, something like that. And the electrons would be much smaller still. We would have to look for them all the way down there at the edge of the island, the whole space in between.
Wow, that's fantastic. Weird. It's weirder than poetry.
But weirder than poetry. And it is sort of an interesting and beautiful thing to come to realize that, even the full extent of science, and as I understand, since that movie documentary Mindwalk come out, I think there's been more discoveries that lead them to think and see that it's 99.999% empty space. And there's still some difficulty in the scientific quantum science to even explain what creates the reality that we touch and feel and the solidity that we're part of. And so it seems that, this friend of mine who's arguing that everything is nothing, that space is nothing, that is true to a certain extent. But I would argue that, we do have solidity. And we do, if you get hit in the face with a rock, it's going to hurt. And something else I like to share, think about any tiny thing that you could look into. Like flour is a good example. A flower, right? You could put the flour on the scientist's desk and put it in the petri dish and cut it apart and peel out the stamen and the pollen or whatever, the leaves, the stem, the roots, and look at them all under microscopes and see all kinds of amazing things. And then you could look inside of those amazing things and there'd be another layer of amazing things. And that goes on for infinity. And, like walk out in nature and pick up a rock and you see things crawling around. And then you look inside those things and there's other things crawling around. Our universe, our reality is doors within doors. And being in the physical form, it's a plethora, it's an unending world of discovery of things that can be found. So, what is space? It seems to be so filled with action and life. And yet, there's this paradoxical scientific realization that when we look at things mathematically or on the quantum level, there's an unending and endless space that can't be completely explained. To me, this is one of the great mysteries of reality and an astounding miracle of life that every moment is just like that little sound, like that little space between two hands clapping. And it never stays in the same place, it's always changing. And the reality that we come to expect is highly influenced by our perceptions. That being said, there is this space that can be observed, measured, found, discovered, and there's a lot of it. And it's actually full of something, even if we want to call it nothing. It's lots and lots of something. And even if it's us projecting a certain aspects of reality and changing reality, and in a future talk, we'll go over the double slit experiment and Young's experiment and Niels Bohr and Einstein and all their arguments about light and molecules and particles. And that's an interesting talk, the uncertainty principle. We'll get into some of that stuff later. But for this video, I just wanted to talk about space because, as I pointed out with time, time is a bit of a construct, right? Our version of time, like I said, is clocks and watches, is a made up construct. And then the universe, cosmic time, that's the more real, let's say, aspect. And where we're at is the crux, the cross, where time and space meet for this little nanosecond that we experience, we call reality. And when we look at it from our own subjective mind and lens, we call it objective reality. However, our own experience and relation to it is experiential, and most of the stuff we're just imagining in our mind, our amazing cognitive ability, we can experience and develop science and test theories and find over and over the same results, which shows that this space, that time is that we're looking through in a way with our existence in time, pre-existent to our time existence. In other words, time shows up in space, right? And space is kind of like the medium, the substrate, a petri dish. When you're looking at something in a microscope, it has to be sitting in something for you to look at it. Even the light, the microscope has to be cast onto something for you to be able to see the light. Uh, uh, Even something that's projected needs to be projected onto something. So space is indeed something, and it's something amazing and miracle like that, where we can open a door, and within that door, there's an infinite more number of doors of discovery, and open any one of those doors, and you find another infinite wealth of discovery available in this reality that is full of something that looks like nothing. Well, I hope that got you thinking, and I'm looking forward to the next talk. Much appreciated. Hey, subscribe to my channel, it really helps out, and share this with someone else and get this conversation starter going, and have some great thoughts. And I'll see you in the comments later, folks. High five.